The phone stopped vibrating on the counter 5 seconds ago. It lay flat against the granite like a dead insect. I watched the screen flash my mother's name until the battery died. She had called 12 times in the last hour. Each ring was a hammer strike against the wall I was building. I picked up the device anyway. My thumb hovered over the answer button. The kitchen light hummed overhead. It sounded like a trapped fly trying to escape. I put the phone face down. Silence rushed into the room to fill the void. For the first time in years, I didn't pick up. They wanted the version of me that never said no. They wanted the statue, not the person breathing inside the marble. I poured a glass of water and shook. My hand wouldn't stop trembling. The ice clinked against the ceramic sides. I told myself this was temporary. I lied to myself, because tomorrow would only bring more calls. And I knew I wouldn't answer those either. Something in my chest cracked open wide. It wasn't pain. It was space. Back then, I didn't know what silence could do to you. I thought noise meant safety. James loved the way I filled rooms with polite laughter. He brought flowers just to keep up appearances. We were the couple neighbors pointed at across suburban driveways. Sunday dinners were always picture perfect. I wore the clothes he liked best. Blue silk blouses that hid the bruises of anxiety on my neck. He told me I was his anchor. An anchor doesn't move. It stays heavy and keeps the ship steady in the storm. I didn't tell him storms happen underwater too. I cooked meals he barely ate. I listened to stories about work he never shared. If I suggested something different, the air turned thick. He'd smile that tight smile. "You're so good, sweetheart. Don't you think we should keep it simple?" Simple meant my dreams stayed in a box. Simple meant I never complained about the house being cold. I became the architect of my own prison. I painted the bars white to match the wallpaper. Friends asked if we were happy. I nodded and said yes, with a practiced tilt of the chin. I believed him when he said it was love. Maybe it was a kind of love, but it was a starving dog waiting for scraps. I forgot how to say hungry. I forgot how to ask for food that wasn't left over. The silence grew comfortable, too comfortable, until it started feeling like suffocation. Then I met Leo. He walked into my office carrying rain on his coat. There was no polish to him, no curated backstory or expensive watch. He looked at me like he was trying to read a book without turning pages. We talked for 3 hours straight. About nothing important, really. Movies, weather, bad coffee shops. I found myself laughing without checking his reaction. He caught me staring once. He looked tired, but real. "You always seem so far away," he said, "even when you are standing right next to me." I didn't defend myself. I just admitted the distance existed. That admission terrified me more than James ever could. Leaving James would mean admitting the performance was false. Admitting it to Leo meant admitting I was broken. He didn't offer to fix me. He offered to see me. We exchanged numbers under the cover of lunchtime noise. The vibration of his text later felt electric in my pocket. "Just wondering how your day went," it read. No agenda attached, no expectations wrapped around the words. James sent reminders to buy milk or fix the fence. Leo sent a photo of a sunset cloud. It made me want to cry in the parking lot. I drove home and sat in the driveway for 20 minutes. The engine cooling off sounded like a dying breath. I knew I was choosing a side. But neither side felt like home. One was a gilded cage. The other was a wild field with no map. I stepped out of the car and locked the doors behind me. I walked through the front gate pretending to be whole. I was already splitting in half. The lying started small and grew teeth quickly. A missed call from James here. A delayed reply to Leo there. I began to schedule my emotions like appointments. Lunchtime anger had to wait until after dinner service. Midnight thoughts needed to stay buried under the pillows. I created alibis for every minute of breathing. James checked the calendar on Sundays. We were going hiking, he noted on the tablet. I said yes, because I was supposed to like fresh air. In reality, I was meeting Leo for a coffee near the river. I wore gloves to hide the shaking. I didn't care about the cold anymore. The thrill was in the danger. Being caught felt better than being ignored. James noticed the subtle shifts. He stopped asking me questions directly. Instead, He commented on the temperature of the house, or how late I came home from errands. "You've been busy lately," he said, "busy saving the world from boredom." He smiled, but his eyes were dead. I felt a physical weight drop into my stomach. I started drinking wine at 6 o'clock sharp, not to get drunk, just to numb the noise in my head. Leo warned me once. He saw the glass sitting on his kitchen table. "Why do you do this?" he asked, "to forget the other shoe drops." He didn't understand the gravity of the drop. I was living a double life on the same street. Driving past my own house felt like visiting a museum. Who lives here now? I wondered if I recognized the stranger in the rearview mirror. Her hair was pulled back tighter. Her lipstick was sharper. She was becoming the perfect ghost, visiting friends, paying bills, smiling. But the core was hollowed out by the effort to satisfy two opposing masters. I couldn't be James's saint. I couldn't be Leo's project. I was just the medium they fought over. Secrets began to stack like dirty dishes in the sink. Water ran cold, but the pile kept growing. I feared the sound of plates breaking. It would signal the end of the routine. The routine was the only thing holding me together, but it was fraying at the edges. The tipping point arrived on a Tuesday night. Rain lashed against the window glass like hail. James was hosting a dinner party. 5 couples gathered in our living room. Everyone praised the hors d'oeuvres. Everyone complimented the lighting setup. I stood in the corner watching my reflection in the dark TV screen. I looked beautiful and utterly gone. James approached me with a glass of champagne. "Everyone loves the energy you bring," he whispered. "Be careful not to lose it." He kissed my cheek. It tasted like alcohol and desperation. My phone buzzed against my thigh. I knew it was Leo. I knew he was driving somewhere dangerous. I knew he was asking me to choose. I stepped out onto the patio to answer. The wind slapped my face hard. "Did you get the text?" I typed back. "I can't do this anymore," Leo replied instantly. "Neither can I." The guests laughed inside through the glass walls. Their happiness was loud and demanding. I pressed delete. I walked back inside. James handed me a plate of appetizers. "Smile for us, please." I set the plate down on the table untouched. My hands were steady for the first time all week. I looked at the man I married. I saw the emptiness reflected back at me. "You're exhausted," James said softly. "No," I said. "I'm done." I walked past the guests without apologizing. I grabbed my bag and keys. I didn't drive to Leo. I drove to nowhere. I parked along a highway overlooking the black water. I let the rain soak through the leather seats. I cried until my lungs hurt. I cried for the years lost. I cried for the lies told. Mostly, I cried because I finally stopped trying to be good. The fallout was messy and public. News travels fast in small circles. James posted a vague status update about personal struggles. People sent condolences like digital cards. I blocked them all on social media. Leo waited for me at his apartment. He looked smaller than I remembered. "Are you staying?" he asked quietly. I walked past the doorframe. I took off my shoes and placed them on the mat. "I'm staying tonight," I said. That was all. I didn't promise tomorrow. He nodded and closed the door. The morning sun cut through the blinds harsh. My inbox was full of notifications. My sister demanded answers. My boss asked for a meeting request. James sent one email titled, "We need to talk." I opened it and deleted it unread. The world expected me to explain. They wanted a villain or a victim. They didn't want a confused woman taking up space. I quit my job the following Monday. Money was tight, but the relief was cheaper. I moved into a small rental unit downtown, no carpet. Hard floors echoed every step I took. I stopped dressing for approval. I wore sweaters with holes in them. People stopped smiling at me on the street. I felt the shift in their energy immediately. They sensed I was no longer available. The silence returned, but this time, it wasn't fear. It was ownership. I learned to cook without tasting anything twice. I learned to walk alone without checking reflections. My heart beat slower without the adrenaline, but scars remained. Every relationship after felt fragile. Every conversation had a shadow of doubt. Was I still doing it? Was I still performing for an audience of one? I learned to pause, to listen for the tremor in my own voice. If I felt tension, I stopped talking. If I felt fake, I left the room. It cost me friendships. It cost me opportunities. It cost me the version of myself I thought I needed. That was a necessary price. To be flawed is to be human. To be broken is to be visible. I chose visibility over safety. Safety was the cage disguised as a home. Now I sit in this chair watching the dust motes dance. The phone sits silent on the side table. It has not rung in 3 days. I feel lighter than I have felt in 20 years. I look at my hands and recognize the lines in the palm. They map out choices made in panic and fear. Some led to places I wish I hadn't visited. Others led here, to this quiet moment. James sends cards occasionally, holiday greetings and generic well wishes. I throw them away without opening them. Leo faded out months ago. We didn't fight. We just drifted like leaves in autumn. I thanked him privately. He showed me the mirror James refused to show me. I am not perfect. I am not even great most days. I am just present. I wake up and accept the heaviness in my bones. I acknowledge the mistakes I made without shame. The perfection was a poison sold to me by men who wanted control. They taught me why I stopped answering. They taught me that silence is not submission. Sometimes silence is the only true answer you can give. I drink tea in this light. It tastes bitter and warm, like the truth. Perfect women don't burn things down.